Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Kyuranger episode 10, and it is one of those videos after I have shaved, so I look like McLovin right now, and I hate myself. More than usual. Anyway, so this was Koguma, Skyblue's debut episode, the little kid who's been around for a while, so not his debut as a character, but as a ranger, and it was pretty decent. I did like the episode. I don't think I liked his debut episode and storyline as much as I did Commanders. I have just a few problems, mainly with just the setup of how it happened, but it was an overall enjoyable episode. There was quite a few silly parts. Mainly, like, the rest of the crew was basically in peril the whole episode. The only ones that weren't were, well, I mean, everyone was technically in peril in this episode. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Lucky and Kotaro were on the ground while everyone else was in peril because the Monster of the Week had basically hurled their ship into the sun. But what made it kind of funny is that they were actually in a legitimate, you know, dangerous situation, but they made more of it than they needed to because classic Naga was practicing smiling. Like, I think it was Abed that did that. I think it was a line from Community. But he's practicing smiling. For some reason, he has to perch up on something dangerous and teeter-tottery. That's a scientific word. And he fell over, so they assumed somebody had knocked him out and had impersonated someone on the ship. They were maybe it's an LMD, maybe it's a Martian, we don't know. And so they launched this whole investigation, and it was kind of funny. It like teetered on that thing where it could get too annoying for me, but it was kind of amusing. It kind of reminded me of like almost any sitcom I watch when like the group just gets in their group craziness about something, and that's kind of what it was. And the commander decided that they would figure out who was the culprit by the Kyutama roulette, and when it came out as him, he just accepted it and let himself get tied up. And there was quite a few funny bits with him, and it was just kind of amusing, I thought, actually. Stuff I didn't find amusing was that Kyutama they used to make Lucky have a weird nose thing. Speaking of, there was quite a bit of Kyutama uses in this episode. They used, I think, the most up to this point of not just like the change ones, but all the ability ones. But as far as the kid's story goes, basically he wants to fight to protect Earth for himself and everyone and his brother or whatever. And he wanted to become a Kyuranger, and he's kind of trying at the beginning of the episode with a changer. And then, like, the spirit of Big Bear comes in, you know, the commander of Commander before he was Commander. You know how it is. And I'm sort of mixed on the story. Like, I like Kotaro's motivations. I like his suit. I think that he has an interesting place in the team. But I'm just so mixed on, like, the way he becomes a ranger, because I feel like I really liked the way Zhao's was done, with like him wanting to help so bad in the past that he basically made himself a ranger system out of an ability thing, as I mentioned last week. And then I felt it was a bit muddled, but I felt it was mainly because whatever powers that be behind the powers sort of deemed him worthy to create a 10th Kyuranger. And I felt like that was really earned based off of not only his actions now, but from when he started with the rebellion. And even though Kotaro's intentions were clear, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt too easy. Like, mainly, I think, my problems with this, I think, will mainly go one way or the other when we get later into the series, depending on how much they explore the mythology. Because it's basically been a very basic setup of just, like, this legend of the 9 Kyurangers. And I hope we expand on that, because it wasn't anything, like, intricately enthralling, but I am interested by it. And if they make it some really basic, simple thing, I'll be kind of disappointed. But I think it's just because they talked about the 9 Kyurangers that it just kind of makes the myth weird if we're all of a sudden easily making Kyurangers. Now, obviously, I knew we were going to be getting more Rangers even before we got the new Ranger scans, but I was just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to articulate, I guess, because based on last week's, I also assumed we would be getting a pseudo-similar setup to how he got his powers. I was just hoping for something a little bit different, I guess, was what I'm trying to get at, to set his debut slightly apart from, like, how Zhao got his powers. But, I don't know, like I said, that'll come in later, depending on how they decide to tackle the mythology. Because the same case I had for Zyuohger, where they laid out sort of a basic premise of the mythology, and I was interested to find out, and then they just sort of loosely explained it later, and I wasn't too thrilled with what we got. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case here. So that'll kind of be something that happens in the long run. And I just felt it was kind of muddled with, it just seemed like whatever the power decided he was worthy to be the 11th Kyuranger, and then like Big Bear was muddled in with it. Like I don't know how he got in the Kyutama and how he's involved. Does he have any say in it? Because he's like a separate Kyutama, but I don't know. It was just kind of muddled. Like Toku's writing often bothers me because it's always like no one's gonna notice. Like I noticed. I just, and the thing is, it's not even an overly complicated mythology thing that I need to be getting like a paper on to read. It's just, it's things that could be so easily explained in a line that bothers me that they just let build up. But anyway, that was kind of a ramble rant. But other than that, I did enjoy it. Like I said, I like Kotaro as a character so far. I feel like him being a kid, he could easily get annoying, but right now I'm kind of okay with him. Honestly, he's a lot less annoying than Lucky, and behaves a lot more like an actual human being than Lucky. And I like his suit, like I said. I like that he actually stays small. He's a lot less perverted than the previous Kid Rangers. I love the fact that he actually fights with his his scarf, like a butter sock from like Sam from iCarly, which I find hilarious. Speaking of Lucky also, there was one other thing I was disappointed about with this episode is that since we got like information on this kid, we knew that he was going to be sort of tied into a connection or partnership with Sasori. And that was sort of established in the character's debut. So I was a little disappointed that his Ranger debut episode didn't have him partnered up with Stinger. Stinger's his name, right? Sure. I'll just call him that regardless. Like, instead, I hate how it's always Lucky. Like, I wish Lucky would have been trapped up with everyone else doing the detective stuff, and it would have been Sasori and Kotaro on the ground for his debut. It just, not only just because I hate Lucky, but I just felt more right. Maybe they're probably planning on doing something with that later, but yeah, that kind of bothered me. But yeah, everything else, like, it almost sounds like I hated the episode, but it was mainly more nitpicks. It was still, I think, an enjoyable episode. It just, there were certain things in it that bothered me, but I thought he had a decentish debut. We also sort of set in motion the next arc of them looking for Argo, I think. Argo, is that right? Isn't that a movie? When there was like the porn remake, Argo and Parks and Rec? I don't know, but I like that we set that up. It's nothing hugely intriguing yet, but I definitely hope it doesn't end up becoming like the other champion symbol in Zyuohger, where we mention it here, and then for like 7 episodes it's as if we never heard about it, and then we mention it again, and then you have like a bazillion episodes before Bard happens. So I like that they set up a next goal after having now established all the Kyurangers, but I just hope they don't forget it. Like, I know Sentai's always going to have filler, but Sentai does best when it can still have filler, but make you feel like the plot is still happening, and it doesn't feel like these episodes are so inconsequential. But I like that we have that going. It was a decentish debut. Now it's going to be the real test until, like, the Ho-Oh Soldier and stuff happens, and the Orion power-up is how Kyuranger performs now, because we had the initial setup arc, we got a small lull of filler, which was birthday shenanigans, and then now we had the 6 Ranger introductions. So I think now is going to be the real test of how much my overall opinion of Kyuranger probably happens, is when it's in the thick of it, when we have a good chunk of stuff established. So I really hope that it is able to remain consistent, because for now it's been just kind of averagely to decent and enjoyable, and I don't really hate it. I enjoy it. In most cases, it's not like blowing me away, but I'm like really cautious about, because this is usually when, like I said, the true test comes in. Like with Zyuohger, as soon as it started getting boring, the world came in, and we had a couple of really good episodes, and then it really delved off into mediocre land. So I'm just really hoping that doesn't happen. I'm hoping we can at least have a good balance. But anyway, for this episode, overall, I thought it was pretty decent. I would give it probably 7.5. Until next time, make sure you don't talk too fast like an idiot like me, the dumbest boy in school. Make sure you check out the crazy podcast at writersrangerambles.com, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Dawson Ryder, signing out.